Good evening. We're reading from To Be African. To Be an African Elder by Baba Hannibal Afrik. To be African or not to be. There are numerous challenges that Africans in America face on a daily basis, but the fundamental liberating process requires critical self-determination. Culture becomes the strong, psychological, umbilical cord that connects a people with their native land and heritage. To separate people from their history is like separating a tree from its roots. Both ultimately fade into oblivion. It is also through culture that a people discover and maintain their sense of dignity and self-worth. By knowing and acknowledging your ancestral achievements, it gives legitimacy and motivation to succeed in the present and a projection of objectives for the future. Okay, pause. Guys, so I was reading from Black Marxism right here, right? Oops. And literally, I found out that there was a slave revolt in the town that I grew up in. I did not learn this in history class. I did not know about this information. I'm over here like, wait a second. Girl, that was so tea. I was like, and of course they don't tell us about the slave revolts that happened in the area that we grew up at. Of course they deliberately whitewash and or erase Black history and condense it to nothingness, right? But I was up in that, oh, girl, I was lit. I was lit. Oh wait, let me charge my little light. Wait, should I move my light? Guys, I made a whole, hold up. You're moving, and you're not supposed to be moving. Look. Is that better? Don't judge my mess, friends. I won't judge yours. Is that brighter? Okay. Anyways, let's keep going. But it was so cool. I was like, no way. One of the dimensions of Afrocentric culture is consciousness, namely, the acceptance of the concept of Pan-Africanism, which in simple terms recognizes we are an African people throughout the diaspora. Oh, sorry. B, the establishment of a relationship with our homeland, Africa, and the diaspora. And C, ensuring reverence for our ancestors. These total individual acceptances constitute the collective consciousness which is manifested in behavioral challenges and positive action. Consciousness is more than mere acceptance, it's also response. It is action demonstrable and meaningful in terms of one's philosophy both psychologically and politically. It is a constant vigilance and positive assertion to counteract the erosions of our cultural consciousness by mass media, especially films and television programs. Another dimension of culture is commitment to our destiny as a people. Every ethnic group has vested interests that ensure the survival and development of their group. Whether we accept it or not, parents and elders are dominant role models in the home and community. Based on traditional African socialization processes, developmental programs such as rites of passage represent a first step towards regaining our self-respect and reclaiming our futures as families, educators, and a proud, victorious people. African-centered rites of passage is a stabilizing and centering process, linking and bonding our children and adults with revolutionary long-term effects. It is a cultural concept based on authentic rituals and ceremonies that are designed to focus on defined roles and link our people to community empowerment. Rites of passage require the collective efforts of each family and community through various members of religious, cultural, educational, economic, political, and social institutions. It also gives the community a chance to act self-reliantly and collectively to solve one of the most severe and significant problems, that of alienation and diminished future aspirations of so many of our adolescents. Traditionally, in the rites of pause. So in the Journal of Black Psychology, they were talking about Black mental health, and there was this parts. There are actually a couple parts, but maybe I'll do another video about this another time. Let me look. Yeah, I'll go through this another time and we'll come back, but it's professional. Okay. But I do believe that the environment that Black children are forced to grow up in, regardless of where you live in America, either pin in that, and we'll come back to that thought another time. I definitely feel like I need time to develop that thought before I say it out loud. Look at me maturing instead of just saying what comes to my mind. In African society, elders were given total respect for their long service to the community, for their achievements, for the richness of their experience, for providing an ethical model, and for the wisdom of a bountiful life. Today, these elders can help youths and their families change how they view themselves, their history, their organizations, and institutions in both present and future contexts. Through viable neighborhood organizations and rites of passage programs, our children and adults can be provided with the necessary tools, skills, vision, and perspectives for both individual and national liberation. At the apex of the community socialization structure is a council of elders which function as an overseeing and advisory group. Rites of passage programs and councils of elders represent some of the best transformational tools recreated to date. A critical mass and community of men and women is required to take this forward step and provide that much needed servant leadership as adults and elders. It is apparent that community council of elders are vitally needed today in order to provide the following tasks, namely, A, advise in neighborhood pragmatic development, B, give counsel to youths and families, C, oversee rites of passage processes and practices, D, assess the readiness of youth ascension into adulthood, E, serve as providers of stability and integration with other parts of the African community. In the final analysis, it certainly takes an entire village of skilled, committed residents to raise each child into productive adulthood and community empowerment. Dr. Asa Hilliard describes the urgency of redirecting the socialization process of our children in his book, The Maroon Within Us. And we will be adding that book to the list. One of the main issues involving these characteristics of elders specifically, and all parents, community residents, and educators generally should provide as role models for youth. A, modeling. It's like this. You see how it's like... Okay. Modeling. Consistently ordering our lives to serve as positive social influences. B, respect. Providing the experiential environment for unconditional respect by listening to and learning from each other. C, responsibility, providing opportunities for our children to learn and also practice social responsibility. D, feedback, ensuring that our youth interact with significant adults in order to receive mature feedback and constructive criticism. Love, establishing and maintaining positive relationships with our youth so that they experience love while struggling to become the adults we want them to be. African and proud. It is important for our children to receive competent adult leadership and supervision. These rites of passage into elderhood provide our community with yet another opportunity to reflect upon our spiritual growth and development, renew our commitment to serve African people, and teach our children the living principles of Ma'at. A commander to the servant there to make an elder's staff, then I will speak to him the speeches of the listener, the customs of those who were first of ancient ones who listened to the divine powers. The Sabayet of Pa-Hotep. To be African or not to be. Pamoja Tut Ashinda. Together we will win. Okay. To be an African woman by Marimba Ani is the next one. I will say that she does have a little bit of it's not even a little bit. It's straight up homophobic in one of the parts. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with homophobia. Um, I I'm still gonna read this, but take what she's saying and be like, it applies to all families, all people in the full spectrum of love. Right. Okay. To Be an African Woman by Marimba Ani. The African world tells us what everything that happens, everything that involves excuse me, let me start over. The African world view tells us that everything that happens, everything that is, involves process. Understanding and facilitating developmental process is the focus of African cultural constructs of African central institutions. Therefore, we must begin our discussion with the becoming of African womanhood so that we can better understand the being of African womanhood. Stages in the development of the African woman. 1. We begin first and exit fundamentally as spirit. The returning African woman spirit asks to be born. We make a contract, we choose a destiny, and we choose to be African. Girl, I would not choose to be anyone else but black. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Like, despite all this stuff, all this shit, all the bullshit that happens, right. The spiritual pregnancy of our mothers allows for the beginning of an intimate relationship between the mother and daughter and the father through ritual and or mother and mother. Right. And or through father and father and surrogate and or adoptee and or any type of familial making. Right. It's all inclusive up in here, bitch. Right. Ooh, sorry, let me not say that, but friend. Okay. This is the time where our parents prepare emotionally for our coming. See So Bon Fu Sam, Welcome Home Spirit, another book. 2. Our conception. A man and a woman, a person and a person allow for the rebirth of Africa. They provide a space for the spirit that chooses them to come through that particular and special African energy can manifest. This is the part that's homophobic. Africa can only be reborn through the cooperation between a man and a woman, not through a man and a man or a woman and a woman. Whatever. Girl, please. Respectfully, with all due kindness and respect. Anyways, physical, but maybe she means it. No, I'm just, you know what, 3. Because that's the thing. I feel like she also means it in the sense of like, it could be, but that she's talking about pregnancy and conception, so I don't think she means it in a not like non-homophobic way. So it's kind of like, oh. Anyways, physical pregnancy, the womb connection. Much of an African woman's life is being shaped and prefigured in her mother's womb. This is an important time of intimately connecting with the mother and the woman's self. This newly born, coming into being woman experiences her mother's love, peace, pain, anger, fear. Anger and fear create energy that causes unhealthy physical changes in the body, which are experienced by the child as part of her new environment. And think about systemic racism. Like the shit that black women have to go through in this country, indigenous women have to go through in this country. Shit, not even a mother of 4 couldn't have a pregnancy or something like that, and then she died in Georgia, in Atlanta or something. Like that doesn't, you know what I mean? And what does that represent to mothers? How this nation does not care about the mothers. Any mother. Because if it can happen to her, it can happen to anybody. And think about that psychological and physical stress to the body, and then therefore the family around her, the people around her, the community around her. Like, come on, bruh. Excuse me, I'm sorry for that tangent. Therefore, a pregnant African woman, but a pregnant woman in general, but specifically black, right, should be loved, cherished, respected, treated as one would treat a blessing. She should be involved in only in activities which create good feelings, nurturing to the new/old spirit. She should not watch horror movies or take any kinds of intoxicants or to be in heated, stressful arguments. The importance of the womb connection is why African men and women must be prepared for physical pregnancy. Your mother must feel good about herself if she is to feel good about you. You are her, both physically and spiritually. She may have been involved in serious personal work. She may have to be involved in serious personal work before she conceives. And this is like the book recommendation: Self Healing Power and Therapy. 4. Physical birth. We must be welcomed into the family and community as we are becoming an earth spirit in human form. We are named to identify us and to be claimed by those to whom we now belong. 5. Discovering the world through the physical self. Our walking and talking and thinking begins to shape our consciousness as we begin to create patterns of relationship to the universe and the people around us. Touching and experiencing our environment is an important aspect of the early development of an African woman. We are discovering the self in the universe. Rituals of transformation during these early developmental stages will give us the confidence to grow, taking chances, risking failure, falling and getting up again, and move on through the maze of life. 6. We are given definitional space as we are taught the limits, goals, and responsibilities of Ma'at. We play at being market women. We begin to look critically at our own behavior, learning the effect of our behavior on others around us. We begin to develop a moral sense as we watch our mothers and fathers carefully. Through the observation of the collective African mothers in our community, we begin to develop a sense of the power of African womanness. These African women, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Genos, Jegnoch. Singular is Jegna, Jegna, are providing the context for us to understand, explore, and become comfortable with our sexuality. We learn from our fathers how to flirt and how to manipulate and how to use our women intelligence. We begin to test our women power. We discover the power to attract males and or women and or they them or anyone along the spectrum. Right. I don't know. I just really don't like homophobia. I'm just like, oh, right. Young girls develop their mother energy by playing various roles that interest them. They are in the process of becoming. As mothers, we are often mistakenly uncomfortable with this growth process in our children because we feel that we are losing control. But it is a positive and necessary part of becoming an African woman. 7. Wayed Bra, TWI Menarche. We celebrate the blood which allows us to connect in a special and intimate way with our ancestors. The blood sacrificed each month will allow us to bring a new ancestor into this world. This celebration opens the door to us gaining access to the status of African womanhood, reaching another level of woman power. We are honored as we join the women's circle, entering areas of adult women spaces in which we are listening, observing, watching, learning secrets of womanhood, previously inaccessible to us, hidden in grown-up talk. Okay, come on. Hello. Oh, never mind. Our rituals of transformation are supervised and explained by our Sawis, big sisters, who become examples, models for us to emulate. We practice women relationships with our friends, forming our female circles. We are instructed in body power, preparing us for its use, becoming more comfortable with who we are physically as women. We are helped to develop the mind power of womanhood, preparing us to be sharp and clear. We read, we reason, we discuss. We are exposed to the serious issues confronting our people. We are helped to move deeper into our spiritual power. At this stage in our development, we are beginning to learn the rhythm of the woman process. 8. We prepare for marriage, marketing, leadership, and mothering. We learn the skills of political activism and organization. This is where I'm at pretty much right now. 7 and 8. 7 and 8. 7 and 8. Right. We learn the skills of political activism and organization. We are trained ideologically and make cultural commitments to an African future. We learn to make choices and to plan for the roles that we must play if our people are to be self-determining and our children are to be whole. We continually study the skills of healing. Yeah, I'm around 8. Right. Per, just a baby. So like 7.5, right? 9, marriage represents our commitment to nation building. Marriage is to choose to take a man or a woman or they, them, and or any type of partner you want. Partner in victorious struggle. Marriage is to share with a man or partner. Excuse me. Marriage is to share with a partner the immense joy of being African. We must be sexually vibrant, sexually confident, sexually clear. Right. Marriage becomes the context for exercising the power to rebirth. We must learn to listen to the ancestors as they impart intense instruction, telling us how to live, how to struggle, and how to become victorious. We prepare for spiritual pregnancy. We become nourishment by a partner's spirit who becomes our partner in nation building as we turn to nourish them. 10. Pregnancy represents an incredible and incomparable power. The African woman feels life inside of her. As the African womb gives birth to Africa, Mama Gerry, Gerry, says that to be pregnant is to choose life. Our ancestors chose life again and again in the midst of Mafa, death. Think about that. Think about that. Do you ever think about that? Like to choose to give birth in the conditions. They said, "Oh hell, no, we're making this place better." And they gon', like think about that. Could not be me, not right now. No. I'm only 22. 11. African motherhood is African motherhood is cooperating with the African male principle to bring a child through all of these stages. With our men taking special responsibility for male children, we're just pretend that I'm putting in gender non-conforming or gender, what's the right word? Neutral. Girl, terminology, because I can't think. It involves knowing how to affirm African manhood in our sons. I think this is important though, especially in terms of like developing a healthy masculinity within men and like a healthy emotional development and stuff like that and socialization. I think that is important, but I don't think that fully relies on just men. But I think men are important in that process, of course, but also women because patriarchy and blah 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 yada yada whatever. It doesn't matter what I think right now. It involves knowing how to affirm African manhood in our sons because also I don't know much. I do know some, but I don't know much and there's so much I can learn. So my opinions at this moment are irrelevant. It involves knowing how to affirm African manhood in our sons, helping them to move away from us so that they can prepare to later join with an African woman in marriage. We join the mothers of the village and teach our daughters to be African women. 12. Warrior, protector, nurturer. This is the most politically powerful stage in the development of an African woman. We are elder mothers, no longer childbearing. The community celebrates our new posture as our brains are anointed with hormonal fluids that give us new insight. The Wisdom of Menopause is a book. that she's referencing. We take on decision-making responsibility for the entire culture. We fulfill the important role of grandparents for African children, enjoying a depth of relationship with them that we were unable to have as parents. We direct processes of transformation for those younger than we are. It is at this stage of our life that we are free to develop the courage and wisdom required in preparation for the responsibility of eldership. We are faced with the challenges of our parents becoming ancestors. We are healers. 13. To be an African woman/elder is to understand the developmental needs that of those who are younger and assist in their growth process. Being wise means having learned the lessons and understanding that there are still lessons to be learned. We are able to help others through the pains of illness and death. Being an elder means finding the larger self, the self beyond the ego, the narrowly limited self. At this stage, we are initiated into the secret societies and prepared to speak truth, to resolve internal conflict, and to exact justice. We no longer have the need to be popular. 14. This entire process has been preparation for becoming an ancestor. At this stage, we are able to focus on the next and most important role that we will play. For as an ancestor, we will be able to contribute most powerfully to our people's victory and wholeness. We can now relate to the reality and power of spiritual existence. As the ancestral mothers, we will be called upon in ritual to give power to the people and to open the way for the gigantic transformation of culture. As African women ancestors, we will initiate spiritual pregnancy, and so through this process, we will become what we be. And I really like that part because it also, in Sacred Woman, she will often invoke different like Black women ancestors who have passed along in terms of like the different gateways. We're already at 26 minutes. Let me just finish what I'm reading. But another time, I will like to discuss this book, Sacred Woman. To be an African woman, this is the last part. This and then this. First, we're going to go through the dots. To be an African woman is to be life affirming. To be in partnership with an African partner. Natalie Nunn, post for me. So that's been in my head this whole time. To be a political organizer, to function as a part of a collective, to exert influence, to speak for the ancestors, to be an advocate for Africa, to be a mother who does whatever is necessary to protect her child, to teach, to be a healer, represent the continuity of African people, represent the stability of the African family, maintain and pass on African culture, organize and direct the African market, enabling our people to understand the spirit of economic exchange and distribution of our resources, to be a scientist of the sacred, be a spiritual leader, be an intellectual, be divine. African women told stories and passed on the culture in their breast milk. We held our men and let them cry, and we cried in the strength of their arms. To be an African woman is to know that we, African men and women, are the mirrors of each other's souls in which we find our ability to love and to be loved. To be an African woman is to know that our man is your man or your partner is the voice which affirms your womanness. It is to be able to feel them say, you are an African woman. To be an African woman is to be the memory of the race which makes Sankofa possible. It is to bury, how do you say it? Bury, B-U-R-Y, it is to bury the placenta so that Africa can be resurrected. To be an African woman is to pick up the pieces of our Mafa, shattered lives, and make our people whole again. It is to rebirth the spirit of Africa. Okay, big purr. Clap it up, clap it up. Okay, and then the next one is to be an African husband. We'll get into that one in the next video.